Let's see. Supposedly VR live. Oh shoot! There we are. Okay. OMG, a multi-stream? What? On Twitch and on YouTube? That's crazy. That was pretty easy. Oh, okay. Anyways, um, hello guys. Uh, we're audience members. Basically, my idea for today is to, well, analyze, or rather, I'm gonna watch Homath's video on this chart, where I guess this is like the levels of thinking, and he talks about them and then describes it in the way in which he understands it. Uh, and I'm maybe going to take some notes and write down on this paper page thing as I do it. And yeah, that's about it. Because eventually, I think I want to maybe make a video where once I like understand this and get what it's about to a level in which I'm confident in my understanding of it, right? I want to make a video explaining my take on it and what it means and how it applies to the real world in real ways, or whatever. But yeah. Anyways, I am just going to check real quick if the audio is working in this stream. Should only take a second. Just cause I don't on YouTube at least. I know it should be working on Twitch, but I just want to make sure just in case. You know. Actually. Oopsies, that's not right. Do you look at that? Okay. So, is the audio working? I wonder. Okay. So, seems to be. Guys, I don't know about you. I bet most of you feel the same way, but I hate listening to myself on like a recording or something. It's awful, man. It's awful. But anyways, um, okay. So, hello. Down here is going to be, my drawing and my notes and whatnot. And up here is going to be, you guys see it now, but my front monitor is going to be the video. So yeah, I'm ready, guys. I hope you guys are ready. Let's do it.
So what the hell is this all about? This video is about levels of thinking. It is theoretical, which is fascinating, and it also has colorful jokes. I use this diagram a lot in my videos because it helps explain some of the wild things that people say and do. It's based on the work of several researchers. I'm trying to make it easier to read for a wider audience.
What the hell, man? These don't look like 1080p.
This is my interpretation of a model of consciousness that I studied. It includes quadrants, levels, lines, states, and types. Today I'm talking about levels. I want to make a big, long video explaining each level in detail, but for now I'm just going to do this short version to get it out of the way and get the ball rolling. But before we get started, here are some misspelled vegetables because I'm told that it helps if I'm cute. Here's a cactus. So these
Naturally.
stages of psychological development. They have been studied by numerous researchers. Some of the most famous models come from Jean Piaget, here's a snapshot of his work, and Abraham Maslow, who had the hierarchy of needs. Everybody is born down here, and nearly everybody gets up to at least this stage by adulthood. There are many factors that determine how you will develop, including your surroundings, your choices, choices, your culture, and the brain you were born with. These are the quadrants. They are different ways of looking at reality. In this case, this would be your mind, your brain, your culture, and your society. They all happen at the same time because the mind is the brain, and culture is a lot of minds, and society is what those minds do. I should also say that people are never really in a level. You just slowly develop the ability to think at higher levels as you gain experience, but we all use the lower levels every day. When you have to use the bathroom, for example, that's a level 1 process. It's not a complex style of thought, it's just a feeling or an urge. So some people make it up to higher stages, and some people never do. Most people on Earth spend most of their time in these 4 stages, and this one is only very common in modernized places. And it's the first stage where you can adopt a world-centered level of understanding, which means understanding how people think the way they do based on where they're from. Before that level, there are right and wrong ways of thinking, so you would either be doing it right or you're not, and then they would say you're either doing it right or you're not. After that, it's more like, well, maybe I would think that way if I was from there, or maybe I would be more like you if I lived your life. That's where global thinking begins. Speaking of global thinking, this is my first sponsored video. It's brought to you by Atlas VPN,
Oh,
which allows you
man.
to access all the stuff you like from all over the globe. It feels illegal, but it's not. Atlas has the best there's below.
Sorry,
Let's
man.
talk about what they are and how they work and how to move on.
All
Before we
right.
get started, I should say that higher does not always mean better. Some people watch my videos where I talk about my mistakes and they say, oh, you think you're at a high level? You sound like a jerk. But higher doesn't mean better person, it means more aware. So here's the lower level of awareness, seeing things. And then as you go higher in the levels of awareness, it becomes much more complex. You're seeing people, seeing almost into infinity. And so when I make mistakes in here, I usually know
Interesting.
exactly why they're happening. I usually can say things like, I choose women who probably will not stick around. Why? Because I don't think I can support them anyway. Well, why does that matter? Well, usually most of them want a higher level of support that I can provide. And why does that matter? Well, it doesn't feel good when they leave because I can't support them. Okay, well, why do those feelings matter? Can you change it some other way? Can you get a better job or something? Well, I tried to do that. I'm doing the best that I can. Is there some way that you can change the way you try to get money from the world? Well, I've already done everything I can here, and this kind of gets fuzzy.
Right, so in this thought process that he's like, just explaining there, like that's what I believe, and I'm pretty sure it's obvious, but like I believe that's what you call critical thinking. Right. But like I don't know, you just like right, you see him it's like asking questions and answering them, and then asking questions relevant to how he feels about his answers and whatnot. Like, I don't know, just the more time you spend reflecting and, like continuing your thought process, the harder you think, the more work you put into it. I don't know. Like the clearer things become, and I don't know, it goes a lot of different ways. It depends in what situation you're critically thinking, right? But like I'm sure you guys know, I don't have to explain to you why critically thinking is good, but this is like how you do it. Or maybe just a one way of how it can be done. I don't know.
So why am I spending time with the wrong woman comes back to this experience that I've had over and over and over again and I haven't been able to fix. It's the ability to see through what's going on in your mind and also to see through similar levels of complexity in what's going on in the world around you. So it's not about being good, it's about getting it. Moving up in the levels does
Awareness.
not make you more effective. In fact, this level is famous for making people into hippies.
Right. So like the way I would take it is like, so as you go up in your levels, this is like from what he's saying, and I've also watched this video before a while ago, but as you go up in the levels, your awareness increases, like just your general awareness. But just because your awareness is increasing doesn't mean like you'll do the right thing or you'll be successful in what you're doing. But being aware of your reality and of things will increase, your probability of being able to achieve what you want and whatnot.
This is the point in development where you begin to understand that everyone has their own way of seeing things. And so who's to say what we should and should not do? This is an illustration of an interaction from each level. This girl is getting validation from a guy that she's not interested in. So she knows how to get the validation, and then she stands back and she can plan how to give less to get even more. And then she looks at that and asks, well, is that the right thing to do? Not really. But am I going to do it anyway in this circumstance because I think it would be better overall? So that's in order. Wanting something, knowing how to get it from someone, knowing how to control the interaction, knowing whether that's right or wrong according to the rules that you live by, and then becoming the author of your own sense of right and wrong. And then when you take another step back to this hippie level, it's like, well, who is anyone to judge my choices? My choices are right for me, and so there isn't really such a thing as right and wrong, it's just what works for me. That's why they call that level the individualist. Different people go through the levels differently, and when I went through this one, it really stressed me out. I felt like I couldn't get my feet on the ground. I saw so many different ways of seeing the world, so many different philosophies, so many different life choices, and I didn't know how to pick one. And if I can't pick one, then I can't get anywhere. So I would say, I
Then
don't know
make
what to
your
pick. And
own,
they
bruh.
would say, just pick something. And I would say, how do I know what to pick? And they would go, pick something you like. And I would go, how do I know what I like? So I really like to plan things out. I like certainty. But at this level, you realize that you're never going to know what happens until you try it. So it goes what I see, what you see, what works for me, what works for us. And then, hey, look, those people have a different thing that works for them. That's level 5, when you can say, okay, I'm like this because I'm from here, and you're like that because you're from there. And then at level 6, it's like, well, where I'm from is really just myself. Everybody is just from their self. And so how can one self have... Grammarly isn't just
Okay.
syntax.
Well, I'm glad there's an ad right here because, like, I'm following a little bit, but a complaint, I suppose you could say, is that he just like he goes so fast, and it's not the clearest of like sketches and of things to follow. Like you can definitely do it if you sit there and try hard enough and you think about it long enough, but I feel like he could definitely put in more effort to make this more accessible to more people, like more understandable to more people, because not everybody's gonna want to, sit here and put in effort to try and understand what he's saying. Because it's honestly not that, like, it's not the simplest thing. I think I feel, but I don't know. Maybe that's just me.
Better than any other self. Whereas at an earlier level, you might be able to say something like, well, my dad was an accountant, and so I'm an accountant. That's just what we do, and you don't have to deal with any of this uncertainty. So higher is more complex, but complex is not always good. The way I explain it is that you can have a really good shoe or a really bad car, and I think what I have is a sinking cruise ship.
Right. That kind of makes sense. Like, because the more, I would say, I mean, to get higher up, it almost directly relates to time. Like, you can't just instantly move upwards on this scale. Uh, which, okay. I'm not gonna get ahead of myself, but, um, like, I don't know. It does make sense to, like, where when you're going up, it becomes more complex, because as you're spending more time in your thoughts, um, in, like, I don't know, it is becoming more, like, there's more pieces coming together that you're adding to the equation that makes it more complex, right? So, I don't know. I like that. I think that's most definitely true.
So if higher is not always better, then why
For
should
sure.
we grow? Well, because higher is usually better.
Right.
If everyone
I'd say, from my understanding of this right now, which is still at the beginning of the video, being higher up increases, kind of increases the probability of you being better, or of it being better, or of things being better. Because okay, I'm I'm just gonna hold my tongue for a while because I'm struggling here a little bit, and I don't want to confuse myself or anybody
At
else.
these lower levels, we would not be able to have grocery stores and electricity. We have a complex world and it requires complex thinking. And some problems
Right,
cannot be solved at the level they came from.
right.
Everybody watching this is going to have a different fingerprint of development. That means that your different lines or capacities, or
Ugh.
the ways that you use your intelligence, are all going to be developed to different levels. It's possible to be very lopsided. For example, you could have your cognitive line all the way up at 9, but your moral line all the way down at 3. You could also be higher up than another person overall, but they're still way better than you at a particular thing. For example, this could be somebody who really understands history and politics to a high degree but has low empathy, and this would be someone who kind of gets it but is great with people. So as I go through them one by one, try to remember where you went through them and what that felt like and where you think you are now. Okay, level
Okay.
1, I call this survive because it's just basic moment to moment, what do I need? Do I need food? Do I need sleep? It's just my own feelings, and there's no such thing as someone else's mind. If we were living in this level, we would be in small survival bands, and we would not be thinking much about each other's thoughts. We would be doing what we must in order to survive. Level 2 I called connect because now you can think about what is in someone else's mind. What does this person want or need? Primitive people at this level will sometimes do rain dances or throw virgins in a volcano. I'm not sure if that's real, but it's the kind of thing you would expect to see because at level 2 you're realizing, okay, I have a mind and I need things, and other people have minds and they need things, so maybe it's not raining because we haven't pleased someone in the sky. Maybe the volcano is angry because it wants something, and what do I want? Virgins. So level 2 is all about what I do affects what other people think about me and what they do for me. Basically, like this. If we were living at level 2, we would be in small tribal groups, and we would be focused on safety and security and maintaining functional habits and dependable practices just day to day. Level 3 I called control. This level is still very popular in modern society. So at level 1, I have a mind with feelings and needs, and at level 2, I know that other people have minds with feelings and needs, and sometimes maybe I think a volcano does too. And at level 3, now I know that other people are aware that other people are aware that they have feelings and needs. So
Okay. So just real quick. Okay, so if this, if we're talking about like critically think or critical thinking, and like if that's if the act of critical thinking looks like, um, like asking yourself questions and then answering them, and like uh, like considering potential outcomes, and just critically thinking. Um, I feel like each one of these, at least for the first three, seem like different stages of like development, if that makes sense. In regards to like awareness of other things, or awareness of how like of the reality, right? Because like at level 1, you're only aware of yourself and what your needs are, and whatnot. And then at level 2, you become aware of uh the fact that like other people and other things also feel. Right, okay. Right, but okay, either way, irrelevant of what each stage is, as you go up in the stages, it's like increasing how developed your awareness of, I don't want to say reality is, but like something like that, like you're you're developing a increased awareness of how socializing works, maybe, or something like that. I don't know. Anyways, to continue.
I know that these people have a relationship to each other the same way that I have a relationship to this, and to this, and to this, and to this. Now I know he has a relationship to her. So instead of just direct connections, this creates social situations. Here is a woman seeing man bad on her phone, and then she sees the man in her life and goes, oh, wait a minute. If man bad, then maybe that man bad. And then at level 3, you would step back and say, well, what do I do about this situation? Why is he being bad, and what can I do about this relationship? If we were living at this level, we would be living in something like the Roman Empire, mythic, feudal, and exploitative empire. You see this level a lot in things like the mafia and in sports teams, firemen, police, military. So even though these levels 2 and 3 involve thinking about thinking, it's mostly just for the purpose of getting what you want and having power over others. Before, I called belong because the primary drive is to fit in, and that drive is motivated by what they call second-person perspective. So again, at level 1, you have your own feelings, urges, and needs. At level 2, you see those of others and you can react to them, but it's still all about what those feelings mean to you. And at level 3, you understand that you're in a complex social web of relationships, and you can react to those relationships and exert control over your situation. And at level 4, that's when you realize everyone is in their own situation. That's
Okay. I'm gonna take a moment to pause the video and kind of like write that out basically in my own words, because that was a pretty clear explanation of it and I'm following. But yeah, that's just what I'm gonna do. What I'm gonna do.
before I called belong because the primary drive is to fit in.
Okay. Sure, good. Okay. Hmm. I don't know where to write this at. I guess I'll just do it under here. Um. So, okay, anyways.
And that drive is motivated by what they call second-person perspective. So again, at level 1, you have your own feelings, urges, and needs. At level 2, you see those of others and you can react to them.
Okay. So level 1, you're okay. So I'm starting to connect some dots now that I'm understanding this a little bit more, and it's making like I'm understanding it more basically. Right. Okay. And so at level 1, we're talking. It talks about. Let me just
Your own feeling called
right. Okay.
second-person perspective. So again, at level 1, you have your own feelings, urges, and
So at level, he said at level 1 you have your own feelings, urges, and needs, whatever. I would say it's you're aware of your own feelings, needs, desires, whatever. So I'm just gonna leave it at feelings, which would be called thinking, or being conscious, or being alive. So anything that I believe, like anything that we consider as alive is capable of level 1. which is being aware of their own feelings. So that's just what being alive is, right? Uh, anyways.
And needs at level 2, you see those of others and you can react to them, but it's still all about what those feelings mean to you.
Hmm. Hmm. Okay, so I'm starting to think that like there's some sort of flaw to the way that this is organized because okay, or maybe it's just the way that I'm thinking about it, but like the way that this is set up, I mean, you would assume that it goes in order, like your thought process or whatever would be going in order from 1 to 9. At least, but you know, he does say like it fluctuates and whatnot, but okay, maybe I'm just thinking too much or too into it or confusing myself.
And you have your own feelings, urges, and needs. At level 2, you see those of others and you can react to them, but it's still all about what those feelings mean to you.
That would be kind of in his terms, staying relevant to what he's saying. It would be thinking of what others are feeling in relevance to you, or 1 second.
And you can react to them. Your own feelings, urges, and needs. At level 2, you see those of others and you can react to them, but it's still all about what those feelings mean to you.
Okay. So that would be like hmm, okay.
And at level 3, you understand that you're in a complex social web of relationships
So this is where I'm going to start with level 3, where I'm going to say it's aware, where, if you're at level 3, you're aware of others' thoughts. In the sense that ooh. So level 3 involves a lot of different types of thinking, I think. Maybe I'm getting ahead of this, but like it's being aware that or aware of others' thoughts or thinking about okay. Yeah. That's where I'm going to start, where it's thinking about what others' actions mean to other people. So you're aware of others' thoughts, as in, which looks like you're thinking about what others' actions mean to other people. If that makes sense, I think that's what it is. I feel pretty confident.
And you can react to those relationships and exert control over your situation. And
Maybe even this includes thinking about what your actions mean to other people as well.
and at level 4, that's when you realize everyone is in their own situation.
Add that because I think it could be. These are just two different. I think this and this, thinking of what others' actions mean to other people and thinking of what your actions mean to other people, are just two examples of being at level 3 or whatnot. So, I'm gonna have to re-listen to this.
That's where, and at level 4, that's when you realize everyone is in their own situation. That's where we get the classic folk wisdom of don't judge somebody until you've walked a mile in his shoes. You
Hmm.
are in this situation over here, but imagine if you were him in this situation over here.
So yeah, I guess level 4 would be it being aware of other circumstances. So thinking about how other people are different from you, or thinking about how other people have different experiences of the world than maybe.
Maybe you would have done what he did too. That doesn't come online until you get the second person perspective at level 4. When level 4 was brand new, it was basically medieval empires. It says mythic empires here, nation states. Basically, large groups of people that lived by a set of rules that they
Mm.
shared, as opposed to the do what you want mentality of level 3. Level 4 focuses on good versus evil. The entry to that level is called the diplomat because of the way that they focus on acceptable behavior and social norms. That's their way of getting over the problems from the previous stage. You can tell when second person perspective is coming online in children because they start looking in the mirror more. They start to realize, oh, I have other people looking at me the way that I look at other people and I have feelings about them. They're looking at me and having feelings about me, so I better be up to their expectations. Level 4 is the beginning of what we traditionally refer to as morality. Here again is the woman seeing man bad on her phone, and then she feels like, well, maybe this man is bad because my phone said so. She's projecting that onto him, having a negative experience, and then deciding what to do about it. I'm going to break up with this guy. He must be bad because I felt like it was true when I saw it on my phone. And then out here, she takes a step back and looks at herself as if she is a second person, which is why they call it second person perspective, and thinks, is that the right thing to do? This is the first point where it becomes obvious that
Mm.
consciousness is important because a lot of people see things on their phones or on TV and it gives them a feeling, and then they see that feeling coming from others, and then they do something about that relationship. So they might begin treating somebody poorly because they saw something on their phone that made them feel like, well, if that's happening here, it must be happening here too. And it's not until you slow down enough to get to level 4 that you can take a step back and ask yourself, is this a valuable process? The way that level 4 typically functions is through conformity and agreement. I believe this is the wrong way to behave. I believe this is the wrong way to behave. Agreeing on what's right and wrong and creating a set of rules and following them can solve some of these earlier problems, but also there are an infinite number of ways to decide what is right and wrong. You can have this set of rules over here or this set of rules over here, and that's where level 5 comes in. Level 5 introduces objective observation as a value. Basically, okay, you guys think A, B, C is right, and you guys think X, Y, Z is right. Well, let's figure out which one is better. And in order to do that, you have to take another step back into a third-person perspective. So again, the first 3 levels are all about me, and then level 4 is if I was another person in my culture, how. I'll have to take another step back into a third-person perspective. Which one B, C is right, and you guys think X, Y, Z is right. Well, let's figure out which one is better. And in order to do that, you have to take another step back into a third-person perspective. So again, the first 3 levels are all about me, and then level 4 is if I was another person in my culture, how would I view my behavior?
Okay, so I'm not feeling so great about number 4 here. Gosh.
Behavior, and then
At
level
least
5
I'm
is another
by
person in my
understanding.
culture, how would I view my behavior? And
Right. Maybe I did. I think I like that. For level 4 would be thinking about other people, about how other people would think about something. Or thinking about what other people would think about. Maybe it's what instead. Thinking about what other people would think about something that's going on.
and then level 5 is another step back. If I was an alien or a stranger, how would I view my culture?
This is interesting. Maybe I won't say with that, but level 5 would be aware of objective correctness in certain things. So, thinking about how So okay, I added some more notes. So theater. Okay. 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 Level 4 or stage 4 of developness. Fucking whatever. Uh, is aware of other circumstances. So, which would look like either thinking about how other people are different from you or have different experiences from you or think differently than you. And so this would be thinking of, or this would look like thinking about how other people would think about something, instead of how you would think about something. So, but this tends to be like a specific person that you know. And then level 5 or stage 5 would be awareness of objective correctness or objective like viewpoints or something, or I think you guys kind of understand where I'm getting at. Which would be thinking about how an completely unbiased party would think about something. So it wouldn't be a specific person; it would be somebody who is completely unaffected by whatever the topic at hand is and what they would think about it. Because that's the only way, to put aside biases to think about something objectively, which is what level 5 is thinking about, or awareness of objectivity, I'd say. Okay, continue.
This also enables you to view other cultures and sets of social norms. That's why it's global. It's the first time that you can go, oh, I get why they're like that, because they're from somewhere else. Level 5 has only really been around for a few hundred years, and it is basically where we get science and the assembly line and other forms of modern conveniences. Level 6 is where things get really fun. You might remember how it went for me. Level 5 is into objective observation, but level 6 recognizes the role of the perceiver. A different perceiver is going to equal a different perception.
Hmm.
That brings in the
Okay, so I guess he said, I forgot, but he said something about you're supposed to try and think about what these stages look like for you, and I'm trying to think about what stage 5 would have looked like for me. So like being aware of objective correctness and or just like that kind of idea. And I think a lot of it was like, or part of it was like thinking about how like or debating whether or not emotions are like useful and stuff like that, because listening to your emotions can get in the way of listening to what's true, which like you know uh is fine in some circumstances, but like sometimes we're people, you can't just be totally emotionless and only think objectively and think through facts. Like we're just not wired to do that. It's not possible. But that was like kind of strenuous and confusing time. Whereas like I don't know, but I only bring that up because he was talking about how it was for him earlier, uh, and how like it seemed to be stressful and whatnot. And I feel the same way. So maybe that's just like a common occurrence. I don't know. If anybody's watching, you should let me know what you think.
fourth person perspective. So, down at 1, you have me and my needs, the way I relate to others, and the way I get my way in
Leave a
my
comment.
social situation. And then you take a step back. What does my behavior look to others around me? And what rules do we make about that? And then another step back. What would our set of rules look like to a different group of
All right.
people? And then level 6, you step back again, and well, the way that you are looking is going to determine what it looks like. So,
Right. Okay. Yeah. Okay. So level 6 would be awareness of pers- of the fact that your perspective determines what is objectively correct to you. I think.
when you look here, you'll
Which is kind of how you get past level 5, or like the negative part of level 5, at least for me, which is this is how it looked like. I was so like, I was in this like confused or whatever state where I'm like, confused about emotions and their role and whatever. And then eventually I became aware of the fact that what your perspective is what determines what is objectively correct to you, or like, yeah. And so that's going to look different for people, even though, like, yeah, the objective truth is still the same, but like it's not always going to be clear to you due to your perspective because you're people. Like, that's how I kind of got over it. Like, I'm not always, I should be strung up on always being getting what I think is the most objectively correct answer, because what I think is objectively true might not actually be objectively true. Is kind of how I got over that or past that in a way. But okay, anyways, so level 6 is that's rough. Yeah. So, which I kind of just described for me, which was, thinking about, well, how your perspective, which is shaped by your experiences, determines, like, okay, this is a lot to write down. And I don't know if I want to. I'm debating as I'm speaking right now. Like, I can't, it's hard to shorten this down. So, this is, so for right now, I'm just going to leave it at, this should be short. Okay. Thinking about the fact that one's perspective determines what they believe is objective. Okay. Well, actually, here. I'm going to change this. Think about So then, okay, it's just brainstorming, but maybe okay. I kind of lost what I was thinking about as I finished writing that out. Okay, well, wouldn't the next one is like okay, if okay, I'm not gonna go ahead myself because I like okay. Now I'm like, what? Now that now you're aware that your perspective determines what you believe is objective. That is there an objective perspective? If that makes sense, like, is there a perspective that sees things objectively and not the way that they see things, which they believe is objective? Like, there's a perspective that is actually objective, and how do you get that? Like, what does that look like, right? Don't know. Probably very scientific and like, don't know if that's possible. Anyways, continue. Okay, continue.
You'll see one thing, and when you look here, you'll see another thing, and when you look here, you'll see a third thing because of who you are and where you came from. So there isn't really any way to objectively observe. Not being able to objectively observe can feel weird. Level 6 is very
Right.
new. There were a few philosophers talking at that level in the 1800s, but it didn't really show up in mainstream society until 1960s America. So, because the way that you're looking determines what you're going to see, that means there are multiple perspectives that are valid because
Mm,
we all have a unique personal subjective reality that's not observable to others. Basically, how do I know that the red that I see is the same as the red that you see? Maybe my red is your green. From the fourth person perspective, there's no way to know. Level 6 is a really good example of why higher development is not always necessarily better. It is a very high degree of moral development, recognizing the validity of everyone's perspective, but let's say, for example, that there's a problem going on down here. Let's say that this guy did something that is considered morally wrong in this culture. But wait a minute, he says, that's how we do it where I'm from. So when level 6 goes crazy, they start saying things like, we can't make this guy follow these rules just because he's here. He has these rules where he's from. And who are you to judge which set of rules is better? We should recognize everybody's unique perspective. And that can and often does give people the idea, I guess I can just do whatever I want because who are you to judge? That's why we have problems like this. And yeah, some of these people are unfortunate, and that's sad, but some of them are just doing whatever they want, and we now have laws that don't distinguish between them because who are you to judge? So at this point, there is this white break in the chart, and that's because we are moving up to second tier consciousness. What
7.
that means is that level 7
Oh
is the
shit.
first level that can understand and include all the previous ones. At level 6, they still insist that they're correct and no one else is. For example, at level 4, you might have a Christian church and a Muslim mosque next door arguing over who has the true faith. But at level 6, we can all get along, we just need more understanding, when that's not what either of those groups wants. So even if level 6 says that they're about equality, they're saying we all need to be equal even if we don't want to. And it's not until level 7 that we understand how to actually give each previous level what it wants to have so that they can live in harmony. At level 7, this fourth person perspective gets expanded through time, which creates awareness of the self as a history
Okay,
of
right. Which
your own
I
experience. At
that's
level 6,
okay. Before he gets into it, so if I were to guess, it would look like thinking about how your experiences determine your perspective, perhaps, or something like that. That's just what I believe it is.
everyone has their own view, and so who's to say who's right and who's wrong? But at level 7, you take yet another step back and you realize that that unique view didn't come from nowhere, it developed over time.
Right.
And everybody else is developing over time. So at level 6, because we are all the same, everybody belongs wherever. But at level 7, since we know we all change over time, people belong where they fit the best. So, for example, does this behavior fit here? If not, then it has to go.
Okay, so like
Where it
I just feel like the yeah, level 7 is awareness of 1 second.
belongs. And if it does, then we can all learn something new from it. That's why I called it Harmonize, because it's no longer about radical inclusiveness, it's about recognizing interrelated systems and how they are either synergistic or clashing. Radical relativism and radical inclusiveness, they sound nice, but they do create a lot of clashing. People who are at level 7 tend to naturally recognize development without studying this chart or any of the stuff it came from, and it's pretty fun to see. I asked one of my life coaching clients a question, and he said, well, a little while ago, I would have answered it like this. And before then, I would have even answered it like that. And maybe a few years ago, I would have answered it like this. But now, and so he told me all about his development through the levels as his answer to the question. As far as I know, there is not yet any large collection of people at level 7. You can find a lot of these people in San Francisco, and you can find a lot of these people in New York, and you can find a lot of these people in Alabama, and so on. So let me know if you think that you're up at this level. I'm trying to build a time army so we can all get together and work on all this from up here. And I'm not really sure if these numbers are accurate. I get more confident the lower it goes, but I know I enjoy meeting them because their ability to naturally balance and synergize things and put everything where it belongs means that they're going to be instrumental in solving a lot of the problems caused by the previous levels. The levels get more difficult to explain the higher they go. You may have noticed there's a lot of words here. And level 8 is pretty rare. I don't meet a lot of people who are stably at it, and even when I do, I don't think they spend a lot of their time there. So level 8 appears when you take another step back from this, and we are now witnessing ourselves change over time in the moment. As you behave, as you think and feel, new parts of you emerge from the ether. That's what it means to be construct aware. It means that you're watching your own mind construct itself as you go. So at level 8, you can see all these different parts of yourself kind of coming out to play. For example, you could look at an image of a donut or a donut sitting on a plate, and you can go, I'm feeling many things right now. I'm feeling hunger for the donut because it's good, but I'm also feeling a sense of guilt from one time that I ate a whole box of donuts that were not meant for me, and then somebody gave me social punishment and shame for that, and I also got a stomachache because I ate too many. I'm recalling that memory as I look at this, and it's influencing what I want to do. So now that I'm aware of all that going on in me, do I want to listen to it or not? Do I want to be the kind of person who just has a donut anyway because I'm an adult and I can do what I want? And it might sound silly when you're talking about donuts, but imagine that this is something like global politics, or even an interpersonal relationship. Like, yeah, I saw this on my phone and it gave me a feeling, and I'm aware of where that feeling is in myself, and I'm aware that I'm projecting it onto this person, and I'm aware of my impulse for what I should do about it, and I'm aware of what my culture says I should do about it, and then all of that is wrapped up in objective observation and the story of who I am and how I got here over time and how I'm viewing the event.
Okay, I'll be honest. I wasn't listening there for a couple seconds because I was thinking. But okay, so what it seems to me as level 8 is like okay, it seems like he said it was being aware or of like that you're developing right now. Okay. We gotta go back.
Donuts that were not meant for me, and then
But I was thinking of an example that applies to my life of like how I think about it, but okay.
somebody gave me social punishment and shame for that, and I also got a stomachache because I ate too many. I'm recalling that memory as I'm all these different parts of yourself kind of coming out to play. For example, watching you behave as level 8 appears when you take a lot of words.
Okay.
That means that they're going to be instrumental in solving a lot of the problems caused by the previous levels. The levels get more difficult to explain the higher they go. You may have noticed there's a lot of words here. And level 8 is pretty rare. I don't meet a lot of people who are stably at it, and even when I do, I don't think they spend a lot of their time there. So level 8 appears when you take another step back from this, and we are now witnessing ourselves change over time in the moment. As you behave, as you think and feel, new parts of you emerge from the
So okay.
level 8 appears when you take another step back from this, and we are now witnessing ourselves change over time in the moment.
Okay, so like it sounds like you're saying, yeah, we're watching or we're aware of us developing right now. So like an example, I guess, of this would be, in my life would, so I smoke a little bit of marijuana. So what a train of thought would look like going to level 8 would be, okay, say I feel like smoking. I would at level 1, I'd be like, okay, I'm thinking, or my thought process would be like, okay, I feel like smoking right now. And then these are kind of irrelevant for this example, but then sometimes, okay. Where like, okay, this is kind of personal, so it's just hard for me to talk about this. But it's like where essentially I'll have this thought process of whether or not I want to smoke right now, uh, d- depending on when my feeling of smoking hits me, and eventually I'll get to the to where I'm thinking of like, okay, if I'm taking a step back, at level 8 basically is what it looks like. What my thought process is looking like when I get here is um okay, if I as I decide, either I'm gonna smoke right now or I'm not, it the level 8 is the awareness of how that decision is developing me in the future. So like if I just chose to smoke, I'm aware of the fact that later on, the next time I get the feeling that I want to smoke, it'll be harder for me to resist that feeling. Or if I choose to not smoke later on, if I get the urge to smoke at an inconvenient time that I think is, not a time where I should be smoking, it'll be easier for me to not smoke. That's what that looks like at a level 8. At least that's what I believe it would look like as an example of it. Um, if that makes sense. Uh, so okay. I'm gonna watch what he says before I write it down.
As you behave, as you think and feel, new parts of you emerge from the ether. That's what it means to be construct aware. It means that you're watching your own mind construct itself as you go. So at level 8, you can see all these different parts of yourself kind of coming out to play. For example, you could look at an image of a donut or a donut sitting on a plate, and you can go, I'm feeling many things right now. I'm feeling hunger for the donut because it's good, but I'm also feeling a sense of guilt from one time that I ate a whole box of donuts that were not meant for me, and then somebody gave me social punishment and shame for that, and I also got a stomach ache because I ate too many. I'm recalling that memory as I look at this, and it's influencing what I want to do. So now that I'm aware of all that going on in me, do I want to listen to it or not? Do I want to be
I'm gonna write down a bit more. So level 8 would be thinking about how your current experience is developing your perspective. So that would be like me thinking about how like streaming this and writing all this stuff out and thinking about this is going to make it easier for me to do this again in the future with different things because I'm gonna have the experience and I'll know how to do something smoother and I'll be just a little bit more comfortable with it, right? Potentially an example, I believe, but maybe I just feel like that's
Be the kind
that's
of person who just has a donut anyway because I'm an adult and I can do what I want. And it might sound silly when you're talking about donuts, but imagine that this is something like global politics or even an interpersonal relationship. Like, yeah, I saw this on my phone and it gave me a feeling, and I'm aware of where that feeling is in myself, and I'm aware that I'm projecting it onto this person, and I'm aware of my impulse for what I should do about it, and I'm aware of what my culture says I should do about it, and then all of that is wrapped up in objective observation and the story of who I am and how I got here over time and how I'm viewing the event because of my personal history. Do you see how that gives you a lot more power to change your behavior in situations like this? Imagine if more people
right,
could see something and then see their own reaction to it instead of just reacting, and then know where that reaction comes from in terms of their history and their culture. Think
right.
how much more power that would give us not to just react in the moment. That's why you should be thinking about thinking. Anyway, level 9
So what I
is
mean,
about
like that's what critical thinking is. You're thinking about how okay, so you're thinking about what you're gonna do, and then what you're doing is how that's gonna make other people feel, and how what that what you're doing and what that okay, and thinking about how they're gonna react to what you just did because of the way that you made them feel, right? Like that's critical thinking.
hard to describe. I do think that I spend some time up at this level, and the way that it feels to me is like all I'm doing ever is watching and wishing, and that's all I've ever been doing. At these first three levels, you are the main character, and at level 4, you understand everyone is their own main character. And then you understand that everyone's watching a different show because everyone is a different show, and that show is constantly evolving and changing over time. And at level 8, you're just watching the show happen. You're not even identified with being the show anymore. You're just watching yourself be. So when my mind is up here, it's like, okay, I'm seeing myself, seeing my history and where I came from and what I'm like and what I do, which is made of all this stuff, all the memories and habits from the lower levels. I'm watching myself, observing my emergence over time, interacting with the present moment. I know where I'm from and what that has made me like, and I know what's happening now, and
Mm-hmm.
I'm watching them come together, and I'm looking at myself, looking at that. And so how you do the looking is what's important at this level. It's like, what are you looking at?
This is a little fucking confusing. So trying to put that into like my words. So taking a step back from thinking about how your current experiences is developing your perspective would be like thinking about how I don't know, dude. Maybe I'm just not there yet. Oh man, I've also
I
maybe gotta end this soon because I really have to use the restroom.
I think you need to be looking at this part right now. I think you need to be looking at this function in your life. Maybe you're looking from here when you should be looking from here. So it's like what
Right.
I'm watching is watching itself. And again, here you would be watching your personal needs, and here you would be
Hmm.
watching the reactions of others, and here you would be watching your situation that you're in, and here you would be watching what others expect from you, and here you would be watching observable reality, and here you'd be watching where you're from to know how you interpret things, and here you'd be watching what are all your habits and pieces of you put together, and how are they interpreting your reality. And here you'd be watching those habits and pieces coming together in the moment and sometimes being surprised by what they do. And then here I feel a responsibility for knowing where to watch those things, if that makes any sense.
My friend, it does not make any sense. It kind of makes sense, but oh man, it's it does. I'm just not able to think hard enough right now because I really have to use the restroom. Shit. I don't want to like end the stream, and I also don't want to just like pause for a couple minutes because that would not be very entertaining. Not that anybody's watching, but like still. Okay, you're not fucking. Nobody's watching. I'm gonna take a bathroom break. I'll be right back. Alright, bathroom break is over. Let's get back into it. I'm gonna restart this little segment here.
And again, here you would be watching your personal needs, and here you would be watching the reactions of others, and here you would be watching your situation that you're in, and here you would be watching what others expect from you, and here.
Okay. As he does this, I'm gonna like talk about how I see it, because when he's saying watching, I feel like it's the act of thinking.
When you should be looking from here. So it's like what I'm watching is watching itself. And again, here you would be watching your personal needs.
So that's the first stage, I believe, or level. So you're thinking about your feelings, because your feelings are your personal needs, right?
And here you would be watching the reactions of others.
You're thinking about others' feelings, right? Or because their reactions are related to their feelings. You have a feeling and then you react based off of your feelings. So that'd be thinking of their feelings.
And here you would be watching your situation that you're in.
So thinking about others. So I have awareness of others' thoughts, or thinking about what others' actions mean to other people's, or thinking about what something means to other people. Them dogs are barking. Yeah. Silly boy. So 3 would be thinking about what others or think about what blank means to other people, or think about others thoughts, which is thinking about like relationships could be an example of thinking of others thoughts, I feel, which is why that fits maybe.
And here you would be watching what others expect from you.
So thinking, or which could look like thinking about what other people would think about something.
And here you would be watching observable.
Okay, so actually, I'm going to restart this again so I can make it clear in my notes. I'm going to highlight the best examples and maybe write some new ones.
And again, here you would be watching your personal needs, and here.
Okay. Which I think, oops, that is the same thing as thinking about your feelings as watching the personal needs. Wow. Oopsies.
Here you would be watching the reactions of others. And here you would be watching your situation that you're.
So I would say level 3 is thinking about others' thoughts. That's what it kind of sounds like. Bro.
You're in, and here you would be watching your situation that you're in, and here you would be watching what others expect from you.
I actually am restarting. Not restarting, but I'm just gonna, go over here. Give examples. Of what it would look like.
And here you would be you're in watching the react here. You're looking from here when you should be looking from here. So it's like what I'm watching is watching itself. And again, here you would be watching your personal needs.
So thinking about your feelings is first.
And here you would be watching the reactions of others. And here you would be watching your situation that you're in.
We're thinking about others' thoughts.
And here you would be watching what others expect from you.
Now this dog won't back in. So dude. You back? Good boy. Okay, sorry about that. Okay, so for it's where it gets confusing because 3 and 4 are pretty similar to me right now, but they aren't. I get it. I get how it's different. I feel like shit.
And here you that you're in, and here you would be watching what others expect from you.
So that would be thinking about what others would think about blank. So, like about something.
And here you would be watching observable reality. And here you'd be watching where you're from. To know how you interpret reality. And here you'd be watching where you're from.
This shit's fucking cringe.
To know how you interpret reality. And here you'd be watching where you're from. To know how you interpret
Thinking about what makes you think that what you think is true. Fuck, dude, this is so confusing.
Things. In here, you'd be watching where you're from to know how you interpret things. And here you'd be watching what are all your habits and pieces of you put together, and how are they interpreting your reality.
That's the same thing as what that he just said. I think he explained that wrong. Because he said
you put together things, and here you'd be watching where you're from to know how you interpret things. And here you'd be watching what are all your habits and pieces of you put together, and how are they interpreting your reality. And
maybe
here
I'm wrong.
you'd be watching those.
God.
Be watching where you're from to know how you interpret things. And
I'm gonna finish this, but I need to start this again some other day because I'm kind of narrowing it down, like some good definitions for each stage. But the shit is hard to think about, especially when you get up there in the levels. But it's fun. It's fun, alright. Oh man. Okay.
here you'd be watching what are all your habits and pieces of you put together, and how are they interpreting your reality. And here you'd be watching, are they be watching what are where you're from, and here you would be watching observable reality, and here you'd be watching where you're from. To know how you interpret things. And here you'd be watching what are all your habits and pieces. Pieces of you put together. And here you'd be watching what are all your habits and pieces of you put together, and how are they interpreting your reality. Would be watching observable reality, and here you'd be watching where you're from to know how you interpret things.
Weird.
And here what others expect from where you're from to know how you interpret things. And here you'd be watching what are all your habits to know how watching observable reality, and here you'd be watching where you're from to know how you interpret things. And here you'd be watching what are all your habits and pieces of you put together. And
So 6 is thinking about how your perspective dictates what you believe, and 7 is
how are they interpreting your reality.
thinking about what experiences makes you believe that something is objectively true. onwards.
And here you'd be watching those habits and pieces coming together in the moment and sometimes being surprised by what they do. And then is coming together in the moment. Here you'd be watching those habits and pieces coming together in the moment and sometimes being surprised by what they do. And then here if that makes any sense. And sometimes being surprised by those habits and interpreting your reality. And here you'd be watching those habits and pieces coming together in the moment and sometimes being surprised by what those interpreting your reality. And here you'd be watching those habits, where you're from to know how you interpret things. And here you'd be watching what are all your habits and pieces of you put together and how are they interpreting your reality. And here you'd be watching those habits and pieces coming together in the moment and sometimes being surprised by what they do. And then here I feeling together in the moment. And here you'd be watching those habits and pieces coming together in the moment and sometimes being surprised by what they do. And then here I feel together and here you'd be watching those habits and pieces coming together in the moment and sometimes being surprised by what they do.
Okay, so to me, 8 would be thinking about why your experience caused you to do something and how this experience will impact your perspective moving on.
And then here I feel a responsibility for knowing where to watch those things, if that makes any sense.
I think 9 would be thinking about how deeply you should be thinking about something.
Hi,
Add.
we're Charity Water.
So like thinking about oh shit. Rewind.
Yeah, knowing where play what they do. And then here I feel a responsibility for knowing where to watch those things. If
Okay. Yeah, because his whole thing that he's explaining is okay. So here, so at the first tape, it's watching your feelings, which okay, and he keeps saying like it's watching this, watching that, watching whatever. To me, what I think he means by watching is thinking about these things. I could be wrong, but I'm pretty sure. Uh, and so when he says he's
that makes any sense. Ability for knowing where to watch those things.
he says knowing where to watch those things, so I think he means like knowing where to think about these things at. So if something is happening, it's feeling responsible to know where I should be thinking about this. So if it's something, should I just be thinking about my feelings? Should I be thinking about others' feelings? Should I be thinking about others' thoughts? Should I be thinking about uh whatever. God, this shit's so complicated, I feel. But
If
yeah.
that makes any sense. So yeah, that's this chart and how it works, the levels part of it anyway. The rest of it I'll get in.
Okay.
Into another time. And if you want to move up the levels, the best way to do that is just sit with your thoughts and think about them and figure out where they come
Most
from.
definitely,
And
because
here's
this is
another
about
example
critical
of what that
thinking.
looks like. So sometimes I worry that my little scribbly drawings are kind of embarrassing to show to 200,000 people. So why am I feeling the embarrassment? Well, I guess I'm worried that it's going to have some kind of a negative impact on me. What kind of negative impact would it have? Well, I guess maybe people would not like my channel or might say some bad things about me because I don't have more sophisticated graphic processes. Well, why would it be so bad if that happened? Well, then I might lose out on opportunities that I could otherwise have if I had better looking graphics. Well, how do you know you would lose out on those opportunities? That's a good question because so far I've been doing pretty good with my scribbly whatever this is. So then, if you don't have any evidence that you're going to lose out on opportunities because you're doing this, then what's wrong with it? Okay, I guess problem solved. I can do this for now. And that's why I called this level complete. Alright, I hope you enjoyed this
So
presentation on level.
that's strange, because okay, I guess being complete is knowing when you don't need to go any deeper. So I was in that example, I was like following him. So at first he was thinking about his feelings, and he was thinking about how other feelings like impacted him or would mean to him. And then he was thinking about what others would think about. And then he was thinking about or he was thinking about others' thoughts, I do believe. And then he was thinking about what others would think about, kind of. And then he was like, I don't know what they think, or something. And then he got to the logical part where he's like, well, it's been fine, so I guess it's all right for now, right? And then that was as far as he had to go. But I don't think that was a good example of that.
I will do another one that's going to be.
But that was like a good critical thinking process, but it didn't go all the way to like level 9, I don't think, if that makes sense.
Really excruciatingly long at some point, but I'll make it fun. And the video's done. You can close. You can go away if you want.
Okay.
I'm just gonna ramble for a minute.
Okay, I'm going away now, I think. But yeah. So we're gonna go look at level 9. Very very nice video, Homat. I've watched that video before, like I said. It's good stuff, I think. But yeah, we're gonna slide on down here. Okay, level 9. Social structure not yet formed. Focus, observe, understand, protect, honor, and allow all beings and phenomena. I get that. Yeah. Okay. Observation without perspective. That's like, you can't observe something without that is fundamentally flawed, I believe, because like, okay, observation without perspective, you can't observe something without having a perspective. Like, you get what I'm saying? You cannot, if you don't have a perspective, you can't, like, I need someone to like ask me a question like, what do you mean by that? Like, I think it's clear. I don't see how you would be able to perceive something, or if you don't have the ability to perceive something, which is having a perspective. How are you supposed to observe that? I don't know. Maybe I'm just fucking focusing on it too much. I don't know. That's confusing. Goal: transform and develop process in self and world. Don't know what the fuck that means. Identify pathology or insufficiency and provide the missing piece. Okay. I don't know. This shit's confusing me, man. Okay. Systematic evolution rolls over deep psychological process. Focus on the process of interaction causing transformation. Identifies as witness of awareness of various conscious processes. Non-exclusively aware of multiple parts of ego. Identifications at various levels of awareness. Capable of conscious action or non-action towards an intended result without attachment to actual outcome. I get that. So that's like, so you're capable of, taking action towards an intended result without being attached to the outcome. So like, you're doing something and your happiness doesn't rely on if the outcome goes the way that you want it to. I think is what that means, which I can get behind that. That's pretty high up there. Okay. Capable of compassion for the process of development itself. Absolutely. Because this is what it's talking about. I mean, this is development. This is like the highest tier development, I guess. At least written here. And you should be compassionate about the process of development. Like, so you see something develop and you can't be like, what? You haven't developed to where I'm at? Blah, blah, blah. Like, that's not very compassionate. And if you think like that, then you aren't very highly developed. Okay. Abperspectival / sixth person perspective creates perception of potential selves as not self, or how the self would be different with a different history or a different perception of history. Okay. So like maybe thinking about how you'd be different if you had a different perception of, or had a different upbringing or something. Which, if you have a different upbringing, your perception's going to be different. Anyways, okay. How this level feels from the inside. In an unpredictable world, everything we do is only a gesture or a wish, especially over long stretches of time. Sometimes we're good at what we do and our wishes come true. Or so we think for now. Sometimes not so much. Sometimes we don't even know. There's not always such a thing as is or is not, will or will not. There's only seems to me or not or both or neither. The fuck. The only certain thing is the watcher in us watching and the wisher in us wishing. We are not what we do or what we make. I agree. We are the watchers of the doing and of the becoming. Okay, so this is like hardcore philosophy of, okay, what are you? What are we? We are not what we do or what we make. I agree. That's very true. We are not what we do. We are not what we make. Right? If you go for a run, that's not what you are. You're not. If you play baseball, you might be a baseball player, but you're not. That's not what you are. It's what you do. It's not what you are. And yeah, same thing. Like you're certainly not what you make. Like, you're not your children. You're not fucking tools if you're a blacksmith. Like, no, not what you make. You're not your words. That's more like deep, but like you express yourself through your words, but you're not your words. Okay. Anyways, we are the watchers of the doing and of the becoming. So, I kind of get this. Like, so we are observing. We are the observers of what's of the doing of the becoming. I am not the main character. I am just the spotlight. What is revealed is what I illuminate. If we want a better world, a better life, we have to learn where and how to shine the light. That's true. Okay, so this is like, some symbolicism. Right, so this is like being aware. Hmm. I forget what I had earlier. Hmm. God, fuck, dude. Uh, I'm really starting to put her out here, guys. It's like fucking bedtime. Like, straight up. Okay. I think this is where I'm gonna leave it for tonight. Um, I want to continue this though. I might try this again because this is very fun and I think there's a lot of validity to what this has to share, what it has to tell. This graph here. Certainly not perfect though, and yeah, but I don't know. I have more thoughts. It's just getting hard to share them and think about them because I'm freaking tired. But yeah, I hope you guys enjoyed. If you did, fucking smash that subscribe button, yo. But yeah, I hope you guys have a good day, good night, whatever. See ya.